Guess we'll go ahead and we'll get started. I guess Mark will be here. We can start. There's at least a quorum, so I'd like to welcome everybody to the workshop today. It's an informational workshop for us from on road closure discussions. Jairus, we'll turn that over to you and Andrew at this point.
Thank you, Council. When dealing with roads, you typically have Matt Phillips or someone from Public Works up here, but really what we're here to do is give you a legal update to some things that have been brought to our attention. As the Council knows, you all passed a temporary road closure or seasonal road closure ordinance a couple months ago, and that included some newer roads that haven't typically been closed before in the past, at least by the county. Great, thanks. To include Ant Flat Road, I think Millville Road is one of those newer roads, and so forth. You may have heard that there have been some complaints about some of these closures, and citizens have been reaching out to both our office as well as the Public Works office. So with that happening, our office looked into the situation and was looking at state code and realized that we have overlooked in the county some notice provisions that we need to follow before we pass the ordinance to temporarily close roads. I do believe in talking with Public Works that this is simply was just an oversight, and to be very honest, the state code is not the most clear, and took a little time from our office and ourselves to understand what was in there. But basically, and I'm just going to kind of boil it down now that we have some context of what the issue is. So under state code, the county is required to provide notice and hold a temporary hearing before temporarily closing roads, and that's to be done annually.
A public hearing, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So there needs to be a notice, public hearing, and then the county is able to pass an ordinance to temporarily close roads. That notice requirement requires mailing a notice to the Department of Transportation, which may happen already. I think that's happened. Does that happen, Jeremy, with the roads already that we mail? Yeah. Okay. And so just a mailing to the Department of Transportation, providing a Class B notice, which includes noticing on the Utah Public Notice website, notice on the county website, notice at the county's public buildings, and then specifically for these roads, a mailing or delivery of a notice to persons whose property abuts the road that the county plans to close at least 4 weeks before the hearing. And so as we reviewed this, we reached out to our neighboring county, Box Elder County, and they had the same interpretation, is that this notice is required and that we need to provide that notice, that they do the same. And we just wanted to be sure because it was not super clear in the code, but they do the same thing. They are similarly situated where they have roads that they close. Other counties like Weber County just don't close a lot of roads. They're mostly in the city and don't have much mountain roads. So we just wanted to present this to the council to let you all know that there are those requirements, that those requirements haven't been fully met in this situation, and then put it up to the council so that you can have any questions or concerns, and then I believe during the council meeting you'll be able to decide what you want to do with regard to those roads, as you are the final determinant on how those closures will happen. A few things that we want to consider is, one, that a lot of these roads have been closed for many years without any issue, without any problems to the public, but I think at the newer roads that the county is looking to close that there are some issues. And so it's really, and those roads have not been closed. After we noticed the statute, we talked with Public Works, and they understood that it would be important to make sure that we follow those notice requirements on these new roads, and they have not closed those roads. So that's the presentation I have for you. I have more information, but just want to open it up to any questions that you might have. Andrew has been involved with this heavily with trying to figure out making sure that we follow the legal requirements, and then Jeremy is here from the road department to our division to answer any questions that you all might have with regard to how can we get this notice requirement out, if you wanted to ask that, figure out how much time it takes, things like that.
Okay, I got one question. This seems like it's different than other times. Is this new legislation that's come through again?
It is not, and that's why earlier I mentioned that it's probably just an oversight, and where our office got brought in, that's where we look. We start looking at state code, and again, it really was not. It took a lot of reading and rereading to understand what applied here. We had to look through a number of different statutes. There's a lot of, well, at least 4 different ways under state code you can close a road. And this is very particular to Class B and Class D roads. And so it was probably just simply an oversight because of the complicated nature of the statutes themselves.
Because I know that we had a lot of discussion in the roads committee. How, what if we don't close, the costs that are incurred to the county, damage to the road, and so forth. And that's kind of that's what the suggestion then came through, that these close because of the of the damage and to the roads as they're used in off times of the year and winter and stuff like that. So that's why we came to that. But we were not aware on that committee, I know, of that process that needed to occur. So
absolutely, and that's our understanding as well. Is just that wasn't understood. But this state code specifically talks to exactly what you're saying, being able to correct or mitigate injury to private or public land resources that are on or near Class B or D roads, which would be the roads themselves as well. Yes?
Couple questions. So what is the definition of closed? It is a certain period of time, or how much is it closed? Days? And then how do the new roads differ from the closed roads we've done before as far as notice? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's not really a clear definition on what closed is within the state code. So unfortunately we don't have that. But what this statute, and this is Utah Code, Title 72, Chapter 5, Section 105, in that it says temporarily closed. And so a road that is basically a seasonal road, or any temporary closure of a road would fit under that. That section also talks about indefinite closures, but that's not what we have here. It is a temporary closing of the road, and there's no other place within that title that talks about temporary closures or even seasonal closures for that matter.
So I've heard from a lot of citizens down at my end, but the statute that you're talking about, do they at any point address that it's got to be done because the landowners who are affected, or is it for the public? Do you see where we're trying to weigh that difference and what's coming out there as to how, if we shut a road, a landowner can't get to it, but if we shut a road, we're trying to protect from damage to the road from the general public. So is there any definition inside that statute or how that rings out there?
No. One of the things, though, that we've looked at from a legal standpoint is that these roads are to properties that are, I believe, FR40. Is that right? So they're seasonal. I'll let Andrew. He's a little more versed on this portion, but to explain just that seasonal aspect of it.
It seems like the bulk of the areas where these roads are going to be closed are all zoned FR40. So most of the cabins and other areas up there are seasonal access, anyways. From based on what the knowledge I've received. As far as you had another question about notice that went out there. Can you repeat that question again?
Well, So you close a road, but we've got citizens that own land up there who needs access. But if it's FR 40, Forest Recreational 40, so are we identifying that when you're allowing that citizen to access it based on the inclement of weather or what's going on from that standpoint? Because any road we close, we're affecting some landowner somewhere. And so I want to see how we're looking at that. Or does the statute say you've got to provide a lock and a key for those landowners who have the right to go there? Or is it closed off to all? I'm just trying to get an understanding, and so, as well as the landowners, of what's going on from there.
I'd say just one point that I would bring out on that as well is it's not going to close, we're not trying to close down the road entirely. I mean, they'll still be able to have access via snowmobile or whatever, right? So it's not like we're saying you can't access it at all. It's just, and maybe Jeremy can weigh in on this a little bit more as well, would be the type of vehicle and the type of access, if that makes sense.
Jeremy, come up here. We'd love to hear your voice.
Our goal is not to stop people from accessing, it's to limit it on what can be up there. Like, we don't have a problem with track side-by-sides, we don't have a problem with snowmobiles. It's that one time a year, and I think everybody knows that somebody goes digging in their truck that tears the road up, and then it rains heavy, and that watershed gets in that channel, and then we've got problems. But I think it's scoped around that we're trying to stop people. That's not true at all. So some of the gates up there may look like we're not getting around them. They're not set. That's a gate just to show there's a gate there. That's not really how the gate will be. I think we discussed in that road advisory how they're temporary gates. That's not really what will be there. There'll be an access to the side for other things, and then a size limit, and this and that is what will eventually be there.
So could you give us an estimate what it takes, time and money, if you have any idea of when somebody goes in on a gravel road and we've got to regrade it, do whatever? I mean, you took us on some roads this summer back up into campgrounds and stuff like that, and when they're affected, what it does to the county and the road stuff.
I could get you something. I don't have anything off the top of my head, but I easily could get you something, for sure.
Okay.
I know
It's substantial, right?
Dusty, our grader operator, generally will spend on Lake Town Road probably 2 weeks. And at Flats, he's probably 2 weeks to grade them. And they're scheduled really on maintenance-wise, even for summer maintenance, they're only scheduled on a one-time-a-year grade because they're mountain roads. So they're not highly, like, I think some of the problem we're seeing is not the people that have been there, it's all the new. That's where a lot of our damage is coming from. 20 years ago, you didn't have the problems you have. But now you've turned so many people loose up there that we can't keep up with it.
And that's why I'm wondering about the property owners and the other. And back to one of my earlier questions, and this is for Jairus. We have some roads that are closed, and we have no issue with that. The new ones we put on there, we have issue. Is that because there's a difference of noticing?
Yeah, no, I think it's just the road itself and the access that had been had previously that is now being limited. I do understand that, for example, Ant Flat, the state will come in and push up, from what I've been told, will push up a berm of snow, and really the only access at that point is snowmobile. Where this year, where we've come in and we've set a date, or the county has set a date, and we don't have a lot of snow this year. It's a small amount of snow, if any. And so that creates this period of time where you can't drive your snowmobile on dirt, but then the gate is up, and so that's making it difficult for access to those properties. And that would be my understanding and how it's been explained to me. The other thing to keep in mind is we're talking a lot about Ant Flat, and I would say Millville is one of those. There's a few others, but there are other roads that we've been closing for a long time, and it has not been an issue. There are also some roads, this I don't believe would include Ant Flat, but some roads where, like on Short Divide, we've got to close that road because it's a danger, and people have the reason that they started closing that you all have been closing that Public Works recommended it, is because people are coming off the road, and it's a danger to life, to vehicles. And so some of those roads are being closed simply because we're trying to protect our citizens. And so
But we should be going through the same process on all
same
of them.
process.
Yep.
Yep.
Annually.
Annually. Yep. And I know in talking with Box Elder, there is hope that we can simplify this process by going to the state, but until that happens, this is the current status of state code and what they've required, and what Box Elder has let me know that their attorney has advised their public works as well.
Jairus, does this mean because of all of this that we will not be closing those certain roads this year?
So what it means is that if we want to close those roads, we need to put out notice and then have a hearing. So if we wanted to, we would do the proper notice under state code. It would be a minimum of 4 weeks that those letters have to be mailed out or delivered to those property owners whose property abuts those roads. And then we, post it all the other avenues as well. But 4 weeks at a minimum, and then the county council could hold that hearing. And then after that hearing is held, then the council could make an ordinance that would close the roads that you all want to have closed.
Typically, when do the roads reopen again, though?
On here, okay, here we go. April 15th, and some of them are May 15th.
Higher elevations usually push back later,
Okay.
more snow, and then we kind of judge them by elevation.
Uh-huh.
That's something that can be adjusted.
And, but there's even some years I know that we've even pushed it back, like their flood years a couple of years ago. There were some of them we couldn't open them up because they were flooding really bad, and anyone would have gotten in there for one safety, but the other thing, it was just ripping the road up to pieces.
Sure.
Short drive's a prime example.
Yeah.
That big snowstorm, that was closed for an extra 2 months, we couldn't get through it.
So that's just it, is that when we have a finite time that it has to be open,
Right.
is there an emergency clause that we can have in there for safety or something to help these people
Sure.
stuck up in there?
Sure. Well, the time is not, you don't necessarily have to have a dead set date. You could also have it be that we will close the road when at the first big snow. That's when I called the state falls under different rules and laws. This is specific to Class B and Class C roads, which are specific to local governments, but the state, just as an example, they'll close their roads usually when they get the first big snow or the first snow, and that's when they've got to start closing them. So you can, yes, you can put provisions in there that allow some flexibility. Within Title 72, you can also close roads due to emergency without it following this notice process. So if there's ever an issue where we go beyond, let's say you do want to keep with a date, but there's an emergency because the road is flooding, then you could use that statute, that code section to keep that road closed and do it legally, because it's not safe, and we don't want citizens to be on unsafe roads.
From our point of view, the scary thing about being flexible on the closing, opening's a little easier because you can tell it's been happening, but I can refer back to a couple years on the short side. I think you'll remember, we had and we said we'd close it when a snowstorm. We got an early snowstorm, we had like a 10-car pileup. And then the problem is, we're expected to go up there and salt and get to them.
Yeah.
We can't get up there to help much. We get ourselves in trouble. So the concern on my part is that flexible on the closing is a little scary on certain roads. Certain roads are just dangerous. There's others that are not.
Okay, so we got some homework to do to make sure we get this done right for everybody, and then have that public hearing. So,
One question I've had, have you had a lot of, or any, I guess, public response one way or the other to road closures? What kind of issues are we hearing from the public?
I've had both. So when I think even some of the people sitting in this room, I can see they see both sides. It's not. I've had some really big landowners who say, this is great, we got a lot of damage. I've had both. Believe it or not, I thought it'd be a lot more negative than positive, and it's been pretty equal in both.
And some of
and the public hearing will come forthwith on that.
Yeah, exactly. And that'll be a great opportunity. That's why the state has it, is for you all to hear the concerns of the public and to know what they are dealing with. And that was, from our perspective, some of the things that we've received, to answer your question, Carl, is that is notice requirements. And we weren't notified. We didn't have an opportunity to speak to this. And so that's really what drew our attention to this. And then we started looking, and this is what we found out. And so for us to be able to comply and to make sure that we're following state code, that we would just need to make sure we put out that notice and hold a hearing, and then have the ordinance be decided on, and however you want to do that. Yeah.
So I'm sitting here saying, okay, on these roads, we know that Ant Flat serves a lot of property owners. But Millville, I mean, how many property owners are we serving? So would it be helpful to have an idea of the impact of number of landowners based on the road? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm looking at Millville and saying, okay, that's mostly recreational, is it not?
That's our understanding. I believe there's a group that goes up there for four-wheeling, and from what I understand, that's mostly who we're hearing from. Because you're right, there's not really property owners up there. It's mostly government land.
Well, and hopefully Jeremy and Matt can give us some insight on that too, as to which roads they're seeing the impact the most, which is the most devastating. So
Oh, I think 90% of it's Ant Flats in Lake Town. Nothing, everything else is super, there's no, and even the long divide that we closed this year, Fox Elder can't get there fast enough to maintain it, so our section's all nice, and it's a dirt road on our side. So we'll plow up our paved section, and then we try to turn our plow around, we can't, because there's no turnaround, and cars are behind us and stuck, and I think it's mainly.
So is Lake Town and Ant Flat just the early closure, or what seems to be the issue there? Because there's times that, I mean, because then the state piles the snow on Ant, but what about Lake Town and
And
Ant?
that varies by years. Sometimes November, they don't get in there. Sometimes they're getting in as late as, like this year, Christmas probably, you'll still get in.
I would love to just speak, just to kind of give you.
Well,
it's.
we will, and I hope you come back to public hearing when we do all this. I appreciate your presence then, and
I think the state throws a weight restriction, if I'm correct, to pay 100 pounds of a tracked vehicle. No one weighs all that. There's no weight restriction on a tracked vehicle.
okay, well, these are things we're gonna fine tooth them and just get this process going and get the public to come and share us all the input that you will, and go from there.
Great.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Mr. Chair, if I could just make one comment as well. The attorney's office is not, we're not auditors.
I'm not gonna let you speak until you.
The attorney's office, we're not auditors. We aren't looking to cause problems, but as we're asked to review questions of law, when those questions do present problems like this, that's just our recommendation, is that we stick to what the law says and we follow it.
Yep.
So, I understand that this is, not ideal for public works, and it could cause people to travel up unsafe roads and possibly even lose their life. But these notice provisions are what the Utah State Legislature has put in place, and that's what we're encouraging the council to follow. So,
Appreciate that. Okay. Well, thank you very much. We're about
Thank you, Jeremy.
5 minutes early on the next, you guys all want to stay, you're sure welcome to, unless you're here for the next meeting.
Mr. Chairman, are we gonna continue this in the regular meeting later on?
No.
So this will be the.
This will be, this here now that we've had kind of that information, they'll get the process together and we'll come back as a public hearing later and get all the details and everything that the statute.
I totally enjoy you folks, but I don't have to be here, I don't want it.
I've heard that before from you.
So am I under the impression that gates are not gonna be closed at all till?
Not for a while, I guess.
Okay.
Not until, again, we have to go through the process, so, and we'll go through the
There
process.
is a
And
state ordinance on that, there is.
yeah,
there is-
that's what we're going through.
All right.
Yeah. Did you want to, which prize did you want then?
It's usually the smallest I have, which is,
There's a couple empty chairs up here.
Yeah. But thanks,
40.
thanks for coming, and we'll go through that and make sure that we get your input, believe me. So that will be done of everyone that it affects up there. That's the statute that we have to do.
So on the roads that you were talking about, landowners, that's who's gonna be notified.
That's exactly what we were told right there. Okay. Hey, but thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Please come to the public hearing.
Glad to work with you, serious.
Bryson, go tell Gordon he didn't spend enough time here. Get him back in.
There's an empty seat up here.
Yeah. There's no way he should spend this such short a time.
Boy, he got up and he's gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's out of here.
It's not right.
You know, he'd do really well. He hasn't even read the agenda, I'm sure.
Jeremy, if you can, those numbers would help us as we talk about this as far as cost and that. At least
I'd like to know that too.
Yeah, just I guess as soon as the notices are sent out, that's kind of the 4-week. Right.
So I'll let them know that that's what we need to do.
Pardon? Yeah.
And, technically,
Well, I'm not hearing as much complaint about that. I'm hearing Lake Town and
roads that we've closed for.
I've been hearing a
Yeah.
lot.
But these
Thanks, man. Thanks for
particular
being here.
roads, they'll keep open.
Tell Matt you took the dirty end this
And
time.
then we just work through all of it. And then we can put it on a
Yeah.
timeline next year better,
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah, we'll be
Yeah.
way prepared now.
See, you know what? Just what you guys have brought forth, that's how we've been doing it forever. We just bring an ordinance, yep, we're ready. Every year we close the roads and thinking that we did it right. That's why I was wondering if, that legislature sneaks in and does a lot of crazy things at times, and then we just wonder.
Authorizing a temporary
In arms about it.
Those
So
two
that's why
roads.
we got
Is those two roads? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if you got as many phone calls as I did, then it took a lot of your time. Is that area?
You probably got more.
I didn't get any calls.
You didn't?
No. Hang on. Oh, I'm in the North District, that's right.
But you do have short divide.
Everybody in the North District has Cadillacs. They don't want to drive anywhere.
But, you know, I will stick up for our roads committee, and you've been there, you know, we vetted and we talked about what your question there, we even talked about the cost of
Yeah.
every time they grade and those kind of things, it's huge.
I think the reason kind of wants to do it is totally fine, right? It's just, okay, the notice department was not making that choice.
Well, that's why I'm confused. We've got roads closed, yet we've got roads we're trying to close where we're having an issue. So what's the difference? Is it just that we had had a notice before?
Tradition on some, they've accepted it.
Yes.
2 of them, brand new.
So I'm sorry, go ahead. I was gonna say, so does that mean now that we've got this, that everybody
I'm
gets
wondering. Does this mean-
notified?
does this mean
Even
next
the
year?
old
Yeah,
ones?
yeah.
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 Okay.
Everyone
Everything.
who has property.
So from now on, we got to have a public meeting on any closing.
On all the closures together.
And there may not be a lot, 'cause a lot of those are just.
Well, then we need to move the budget to May. I can't have all these things conflicting
I
with budget.
I see
so-
the next couple of years, you're gonna have quite an attendance.
We're gonna
And
have a
then when
meeting on the
tradition hits,
24th and the 31st.
then they'll just
so
have the
that'll be-
expectation. When they know they can get in there
During
on
the holiday, so
snowmobile
nobody can come.
or something like that later, then you'll be fine.
And that's one thing we've thought about, is like, well, maybe we just don't close it until that snow actually comes, so then they have access to their property.
Yeah, but then you drive Public Works nuts.
That's the cost.
Well, no, it's after, right? Because it's the snow that makes the ground mushy, right? Is it before?
It's the storms, even the late winters, the early winter storms that can still be
Right, so
slushy.
at your first
Yeah.
snow.
Yeah, but it's the rain that affects you more than snow.
Yeah.
The slush that comes before, so.
Mhm.
Okay, and then that may be, so.
Because if it was the snow and the ground was dry, then
Oh.
people can go everywhere. But if it's the moisture we got just before Thanksgiving, that, yeah.
Okay,
But they never close until next
Uh,
year, so.
Yeah.
this next meeting, we're gonna start here, and Mark said he is not gonna be able to be here until the council meeting.
Yes.
So of us.
3.5, I don't count as a whole.
There won't be any vote taken in this meeting. It'll be informational, what we're doing, how we're gonna do this. And then the final vote will be taken in the regular meeting. But we do have to have a separate meeting to talk about these things. So,
So do we close?
yep.
Go out?
The workshop's all done.
Okay.
But we do have to open this meeting.
Okay.
You notice right there.
All right.
Where is that? Well, don't have it on here.
Yeah.
But it was a notice separate. Yeah.
Yes.
But, we'll go ahead and we'll open that up. We'd like to welcome everybody. It's at 4:30 here. This is a special council meeting that we're holding, that has to be held separate, for the purpose of amend an ordinance, or excuse me, ordinance 2024-2022, or excuse me, 22, an ordinance amending the annual salaries of Cache County officers. And at this point, let me turn that, who is going to address that by chance? Amy, could you? Yep, if you could, go ahead and address that.
So as per state code 1753-221, and also 1716-14, we do have to have this meeting to address any type of increases or adjustments to wages. As you recall, we used to only do this just for our elected officials, and now the new legislation states it has to be done for county officers as well. So what you have before you in the ordinance has the elected officials' salaries that are defined there. You'll see that the frequency is annually. In there, we have included a budgeted Christmas bonus. The language that we put was up to $379 as per the conversation that was had last week about Christmas gifts or end-of-year incentives, whatever you want to call it. We all know what we're talking about. So that if it is changed in the fall, as what was alluded to, council member Goodlander's discussion, then we wouldn't need to have another hearing to do so. The safety incentive is there up to $120 per year. So if they were to do their training and be safe, then they would have that incentive or be eligible for that. If that's something that the council would like to approve, you do have the option to strike those as well. Then the county officers there are listed according to the officers that do need to be listed in the state statute. These are ranges that are listed, and that is because these officials are paid by performance, and so it would depend on what the council approves in the budget for merit increases, and then based off of the merit matrix, what they would be eligible for. So that is the pay range that is there for that, along with the frequency as annual because they are all salaried, and then you have the budgeted Christmas bonus, and then also the safety incentive bonus. So, are there any questions that I can answer on this?
Questions?
You know, I keep trying to bring up the file here, and it keeps telling me,
You go into the regular it'll come up in the regular meeting.
the regular meeting.
Yeah.
Bryson, would you mind passing him a paper copy? That might be easier than trying to pull it up.
I'd take a paper copy.
Special.
Okay, well then we'll go ahead and have the public hearing,
Great.
and then we'll go from there,
Amy.
so. Yeah, please, thank you.
Thank you, Bryson. Your hair was
That's right here anyway, but let's be good.
Chair, can I just make a clarification?
You bet, please.
So for the public hearing to be held, basically, the public hearing is, they basically need to know what the council is going to do as far as raises in this meeting, if any raises are going to happen to those positions. So you may need to have that discussion before the public hearing is open, because otherwise they don't know what is going to be raised, or if there are going to be any raises. So if, as a council, that would need to be established before they can comment, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So, okay, so we can hold our discussion. The thing is, I am under the understanding that we cannot move on this action in this meeting. Can we? We can just basically say this is what we're going to do, but we can't vote on it
Right,
until
right, right.
regular council meeting.
Right, and so the public just needs to know if there's going to be any raises.
Okay,
So the
well-
only thing for sure that is in there is going to be the addition of the salary for the auditor. It's not technically a raise, but it's a compensation that hasn't been there before. But if the council wants to increase any of those positions, either pace range or for those who have fixed salaries, their fixed salary, then that would need to be brought up so that the public can comment on that. And I apologize if that wasn't made clear earlier.
Thank you, Jairus.
Thank you. Okay, well, let's go ahead and discuss this. I know we are missing a few of the council members. I know they've reached out to us and shared some information that they would like to see. I'll go ahead. Anyone would like to share their insight, information?
Mr. Chair, could I make one more comment?
You bet.
Point something out to you. In a previous document that I had seen, there was discussion of raising the county treasurer's salary. It's not reflected on this, so that may be a discussion point you want to have.
I was going to say, I can't find him on here, so.
Yeah, and that's what,
Yeah.
it does show up in the budget information.
Yes, but according to
But it does
this
not show up
ordinance,
on
you
this-
would need to
this
make that, yes. And then also, part of that would be the county recorder making an adjustment to the 2025 fixed salary as
Which
well.
would then match the clerk.
And the auditor,
Right?
correct.
Okay.
Yes, and the treasurer was matching the assessor. So, but that's not reflected in this document on the 2025 fixed salary, so that would be something you would need to discuss and
Thank
decide
you.
on.
Any discussion there?
So it's,
First-
okay.
There's like about probably 2 or 3 things that we need to discuss. First of all, let's go ahead and, how do you feel the elected officials receiving that Christmas gift?
I didn't think we were going to do that.
That's up to you guys. I know we had talked very negative about that the Christmas, we would not be participating in that this year.
Given where our budget is and what we're talking about, I would agree with that's off.
Yep.
Okay, so that's probably, we're going to forego, do everyone feel okay to forego that this year then for the elected officials?
I'm in favor of that.
But not for all the other officers? We'll just maintain what we have for the other officers, right?
When you say this year, will you please say whether 24 or 25?
Yeah,
Because
that's-
it's confusing.
Yes, well, the elected official one, or the Christmas bonus be for this year? Do you want to forego that for the elected officials? For 2024?
For 2024.
Didn't we say in the
We
last,
had already said that.
Okay, that one's taken care
that
of.
one's taken care of?
How about
So
talking
This is 2025 that you're discussing.
2025, yes.
How about 2025 then?
Given what I know now, but at the same time, if next year is in better financial position, then we can still talk about it, can we not?
Okay, so
Well, we talked about it in our last meeting.
That's what I'm trying,
$130, I think,
150, I think.
150 with,
50 for full-time and
right.
but this is for, I'm talking about elected officials only.
So yes, then it's off. I vote that we don't do it.
I would agree.
Okay, then if there's a change in their outlook or something,
Yes, then
Okay.
it can be
but
addressed.
for right now, then the elected officials, but we will remain the same with all the other officers for 2025?
As we discussed last week, right?
Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. That's how we feel here.
So the budgeted Christmas gift is out, right? For
for elected.
2025.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to put an X through it then.
Okay. Okay, now my next question here is, how about what are your feelings on raising the treasurer up to the assessor's amount and raising the recorders to match the clerk and auditor?
I don't want to single anybody out, but I think we have some very good working people. But one of those very good working people is our treasurer, who has been a treasurer for a long time, and I would like to see him equal with others in that area. So My personal feeling is that he does need an adjustment.
Yeah, but I feel the same way, and we talked about that earlier as well.
Right.
And I think that for parity's sake, that, we need to bring him up to the same level as the assessor.
I'm agreeable to that.
I think with added responsibilities
Yeah.
from the past couple of years, that's where I agree with you, is that we have added some responsibilities to his job.
Well, if you bring in performance, if you look at what he's done as far as tax collection in the county and everything else too, he's been amazing.
It's amazing, so.
Okay.
Okay, so that is our current plan then, to take him up matching with the county assessor's salary? Fixed salary, right?
Yes.
How about the clerk, or the recorder?
We were going to bring,
Clerk, and we talked about that as well.
right,
And I concur again for parity's sake.
I agree with that.
Okay, so then the recorder then would match with the clerk and the auditor.
Right.
I'm in accordance with that one too, so. Okay, so that's how it'll be for 2025. No other raises, except what's established for the other deputies or other officers.
Right.
But they will be also included on the Christmas stipend, which, or the end of the year stipend, like we talked in the 2025 budget. Okay. At that point, I think we have an understanding what we'll be looking at and addressing in 9A, which is in the next meeting. So let's go ahead and we will now open up the public hearing for anyone that would like to speak about this this adjustment of the salaries for executive county offices. If you'd like to speak, we'd have you come up here to the microphone, and then please state your name.
My name's Pat Morrill, and I've been here through a couple meetings, and this is an issue because you want 20% increase on my property taxes. Otherwise, what you do within your budget, you've been doing a fine job, and I have no comment on that. But because you want an additional amount from me as a taxpayer, it becomes an issue. Now, when I went into your budget and I looked at it, it didn't differentiate between who got what. It said full-time, it said part-time. So I had to go to a third-party source to look at what the salaries look like. And what I realized is there's a handful of people that work for the county that make a lot of money for Cache County. And those people, in my opinion, don't need a raise. If you ask me as a taxpayer who should get a raise, who mean more to me in their position, it is safety. It's the police and the fire. And I was here when those gentlemen talked about it. And I do support that. But you have some executive positions that are making north of 150,000, north of 200,000, that in my opinion they don't need a raise, they don't need a Christmas bonus. They make a lot of money to live in Cache Valley. Again, this would not be an issue if you did not want more money from me. And I sat here in the first meeting and listened to people who are going to struggle with that increase. And that to me is not fair. You have a budget, I have a budget. We all have to make the best decisions within the constraints of our budget.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to speak? Again, please state your name.
Hello, I'm Paul Guyman. I agree with the sentiment of that comment. As a taxpayer, having any increase, which is perpetual increase, I've never seen a tax decrease from Cache County. So it's an ongoing forever fee tax for me to pay. So I would be very much against any property tax increase or anything that would cause property tax increase for the citizens of Cache Valley, including myself. The salaries that we as taxpayers pay for elected officials are important. Our individuals who run for office know the salary when they're running, or they should. And they also understand that the taxpayer is the one that pays them. If there's funds to pay, then we should give them a pay raise. If there isn't funds to pay, we should consider not doing so.
Thank you.
thank you.
Anyone else would like to?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second. It's moved and seconded that we close the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. At that point, we'll go ahead and we'll close this portion of the special Cache County Council meeting. I'll take, actually, I will, yes, I'll take a motion on that, actually. Would you please?
I make the motion that we move to close the meeting till we're at 5 o'clock.
Is there a second?
Second it.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, thank you. Okay, got 15 minutes then, so. Shut your microphones off now.
Investment banking.
I'm of the opinion, start early, leave early. Everyone keeps saying.
Did you see that on the resolution?
Let me pull it up. Where were you talking about?
Everyone's speaking. It is extremely good.
No, on the property tax increase.
So not the budget.
What's that?
So not the budget.
No.
Who's the new job?
Okay, I understand now.
So,
Those two need to
so
be.
that was at, I think, 15%.
This wasn't 12%. This was something else.
I think that was 15.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, I understand.
So let's see.
I was really confused. I thought you were talking about the budget. I was like,
Goes down through 89, 91, little canal goes and stops at miles around the bigger canal goes further down.
Yeah, so this was a resolution at 15.
okay.
I don't know, do you have it, does it say 12% in here?
This is currently set at 20%. They're going to motion to have it to 12%.
Okay.
And so then they can say once they motion for 12%, then they can also motion to have any subsequent information changes.
Let's just clarify that with them so they know that's coming before.
Okay.
Hey, non.
Especially the price of wheat now. So, are you gonna pay like
full day.
Okay.
So I'll talk about it.
Sounds good. All right, thank you, Wes. How are you, Mark? You're terrible. Yeah. We have an extra right here. Also. Yeah. I have no clue. Okay, got it.
But we got new batteries. Like, those aren't the new ones. But the
Wait,
new
which
ones-
color are you talking about?
Blue ones.
Blue ones? Yeah, we have, I think we have those in these microphones, but not
Blue
those.
ones are the new ones.
Okay, I can go ahead and replace them.
Yeah, and then do you have the battery charger with pack? Not the circle one, but the rectangle one?
I think it's in there.
If you bring it, just keep it in that drawer, and then you'll just have extra ones on hand.
All right, sweet. Thank you, Micah.
Did you get that up here?
Yes, I did. How was work?
Wild and crazy, man. Wild and crazy. Look good.
Good.
For you, sir.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
We're actually holding another meeting next week.
Well, there's others here.
Okay, I was just gonna say, just a heads up.
So,
Thank you.
they were already in my car, so. Glad to be here. Sorry I couldn't make it for the earlier. Intended to be here. Work necessities required I be. Well, you know, I quite enjoy my work. But it's a compounding element.
So if any of us die, you got some.
All right, so are you. Merry Christmas, sir.
I was wondering if you knew when the media packet was posted to the site.
For this meeting?
Yeah.
I think it is.
Oh, no, I was wondering when, if you knew when it was.
Oh, when it was? So the current version, I believe, was uploaded around the 11th. I'm not sure about when the previous.
Okay.
Sorry, our, what's it called? Like our website management program that we use. So I
Okay.
apologize if it hasn't been up in time.
Yeah, I was just wondering, yeah. I was just curious. But thank
Sorry.
you. Nope.
For some reason, I've never connected, but he was the medical director for working with the board there. Yeah, he's my neighbor and a member of our board.
didn't request it. It wasn't.
So I just texted Waste Management. They said absolutely not true. They're taking the recycling to.
That one's dead.
Everything on? No, everyone got them on?
Thanks.
Nolan, ready?
I'm ready.
Appreciate everyone in attendance for Cache County Council meeting here, December 10th, 5 o'clock PM. We appreciate, again, all your attendance and what we're going to be undertaking this evening. At this point, we'll have an opening by Council Member Barbara Tidwell.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to take this opportunity to wish everyone here and in the valley and in the county happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and we hope you have an awesome holiday season. And I will finish my comments in form of a prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we're grateful to Thee to be gathered here this evening. We thank Thee that we live in this beautiful valley and in this beautiful place. We're grateful to be able to represent our constituents. We pray, Heavenly Father, for Thy Spirit to be with us, that we would make correct and good decisions and do that which is right. We pray that we would remember that we live in a wonderful free country and that we have such blessings of living here and be thankful for all that we have. And this we say in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
If you'll please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Chair, with your permission, I'd like to make a presentation at this time. Carl, we appreciate all that you've done in your service. You've really given a lot of service to the city, to the council, to the people of this valley, and we appreciate it. So we'd like to give this to you and Kathy. Kathy, thank you for your support too. So thank you for everything.
Thank you very much. Wow. Barbara, did do that?
Yes,
Wow, that's beautiful.
thank you.
Thank you.
If I'd have done it, some of those would be spelled wrong, so. No, appreciate it. Thank you very much, Barbara, doing that. And Carl, we do, again, we appreciate everything that you've done. At this point, we'll go ahead and how about, I'll accept a motion on the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I need to make some make some changes on the agenda. On 10B, Resolution 2024-28, imposing a county option sales tax for public safety, we need to add "and roads" to that. And then also on 10E and 10F, they are public hearings, so if we could transfer those to 8B and 8C.
Is there a second?
Second.
We move and second that we amend the county council agenda as such, which was described, for adding the words "and roads" to 10B, Resolution 2024-28, and for moving from the initial, well, we'll leave it on the initial, but basically also having those public hearings of ordinance 2024-23 and 2024-24 in the public hearing section for 8B and 8C. With those, is there a motion to then, with those amendments, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Anyone's opposed? It's unanimous. Now I'll accept a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Move second, we accept the agenda as amended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. At that point, we'll go ahead. How about the minutes from our last meeting? It says not available quite yet, so we'll bring those up at the next one. Thank you. How about county executive report?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just have one set of appointments this evening. The council will remember when the Cash Open Space Advisory Committee was created, the terms that were set for those members were 1 year, and they expire at the end of each year, December 31st. And the first meeting for the Open Space Advisory Committee is scheduled for January 2nd. So in order to make sure they're appointed in time, I would like to present all of the names of the members of the Cash Open Space Advisory Committee for reappointment at this time. And that includes Claire Ellis, Brent Thomas, Kendra Penry, Christopher Sands, Reagan Wheeler, Eric Elison, and then the non-voting ex officio county council member is Catherine Buse, and the non-voting agricultural expert ex officio member is Justin Clausen. So those are the names I would present to the council this time for reappointment to the Open Space Advisory Committee.
I move to confirm reappointment of these individuals to the Open Space Advisory Committee.
Second.
Move second that we confirm the, I think all of these are currently on it, right?
Yes, it's reappointing all of them.
Reappointing all of these on the COSAC. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's go with Diana, would you please talk about the hardships that are presented at this time? Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have before you this evening 7 applications for hardship. 2 come with recommendations for approval, 5 for a recommendation for a denial. So we'll do the approvals first. These are the ones ending in 1 and ending in 33.
And I apologize, but these are all in one long 715-page file. And trying to go through and pick each one of these out individually was a
learning curve.
Was a bit of a challenge.
It was.
Can you get them a page number on it?
Agree.
So it's not just my computer illiteracy? Okay.
No.
It is presented.
I think Andrew's looking for a reference page for you. access to their Google Drive? Do you have access to your Google Drive through your iPad?
Possibly.
This is a first for me too, so just relax, Andrew.
Same as your county, so be whatever that is.
I know we have them all, but they're 715 pages. That's our,
Because
As long
that's
as
your
we have
total
them.
media packet.
and they're just, that is in the media packet, or not the media packet, for council packet for us.
Do you have a search function on that document?
The first one's 150 pages long.
Starting, if you've found the hardships, do you want to just give me the last number and we'll talk about it as you find them?
You bet. The last number on that parcel, I think, is 0, actually. It's 0.
So would that be 20?
Yes.
Okay, this one is a recommendation for a denial, non-compliant in providing financial information, including some bank statements that we could see there were transfers coming from. This particular case, 63,000 in extra deposits above what she had reported to us. And so without her, so she didn't supply the documents once we saw that she was well over the income limit.
Yeah. Yeah, we see the.
Yeah, I looked at that one.
You see the monthly income, but then those other deposits.
Then as we go through the bank statements and we see all these
shows those
transfers.
$68,000 of deposits, so.
And then the girls added that up, and that was on page, I think, 23 through 25 of her,
I'll entertain
of her application, which like
Entertain a
three.
motion on this one.
I'll move that
Move that we deny the hardship request.
I'll second it.
With ending in 20, right?
Ending in 20, correct.
Is there any discussion? It's been moved and seconded. Who was it?
I did a second.
Second. Carl, you moved. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And the other one starts, I believe, 150?
Yes.
And does that end in 14?
I believe it.
What page you're looking at, page?
It
Yes,
does.
it ends in
150,
14.
ending in 14. Do you want to-
Yep.
Okay, so this is another one that comes with a recommendation of denial. Also, she did not provide all of her 2023 financial information. It was missing certain months. She stated she was disabled, but did not provide that. She didn't provide any documentation on child support received, which we can see in that divorce decree that it was so ordered, at, I think around $647 a month, or any proof of her expenditures to prove the hardships. So her extra deposits were almost 5,000, and that's on page 37.
Takes her over that threshold, doesn't it?
On this one, she did not go over the threshold, but we can't, that's just as can be determined with what was submitted. She didn't submit the missing bank statements.
We'll entertain a motion.
I will make a motion that we deny the application ending in 14 as with the information so presented by Diana.
It's been moved and seconded that we deny application ending in 14. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
And moving to page 331.
It's unanimous. Three, which one?
331,
Okay, you bet.
parcel ending in 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, parcel ending in 1. This comes with a recommendation for approval at the rate of 29% in the adjusted sliding scale. This applicant has come before us before. It looks like she came 2012, 13, 14, again in 18 and 19. This is one that really documented her expenses very well. It looks like she struggles to try to pay her taxes and then comes to us when she just can't make it. As I say, this comes with a recommendation for approval.
I'll make a motion on applicant ending in 1 that we approve this hardship and based on the information delivered here.
29% level.
At the 29% level.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded that we approve this hardship application ending in 1 at 29%. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
And moving to page 428. Parcel ending in 3. This applicant is another that has been non-compliant in providing the financial information to establish their income eligibility. Several bank statements that show transfers in and out were not provided. How she could afford the cost of living, and it's a challenge when they come to us and say we have no income, but we see that they're paying their bills. So that's, like I say, a challenge. But again, we can't determine the income for 23 with any confidence because we don't have all the information. So again, a recommendation for denial on parcel 3.
I'll move to confirm the recommendation for denial based on lack of required information.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded that we deny application ending in 3 due to lack of required information. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
We're moving to page 511. Parcel ending in 127. This also comes with a recommendation for denial based on noncompliance on financial information. Did not provide some of the bank statements for a stated account. Was an incomplete tax return regarding the capital gains, which we saw in the bank statements anyway, which were around $63,000 in extra deposits. So again, a recommendation for denial.
I'd make a motion that we accept the recommendation for denial based on the information provided for item ending in 127.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we, this is recommended for denial in item number 127. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Moving to page 628. Parcel ending in 8. Again, this comes with a recommendation for denial. All we were given was an incomplete circuit breaker application. There wasn't a hardship application and absolutely no financials.
Hey, on
Diana?
628,
Yeah.
the name needs changed.
Okay, thank you for catching that. I also caught that in my quality control. So the one that Dave has for signature has been corrected.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so on application ending in 8, I recommend that we deny based on the information that was given and set forth in this packet.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we recommend for denial for application ending in 8. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Moving to page 635. Parcel ending in 33. This application comes with a recommendation for approval. She was compliant in providing all of her financial information. She lost her child support and the Social Security she was getting for her child that's still in school, but he came of age. And she's come to us before in 2017 and 22. So again, one that doesn't come back every year, only when she absolutely needs it. So again, a recommendation for denial, for approval.
I would make a motion for approval of the recommendation at 14%.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. We approve this one at 14%. Number ending in 33. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
I think that's all 7 of them. Thank you for your time, and
Thank you for all your diligent work there. Appreciate that.
Carl, this is like see you later, not goodbye.
All right.
Thank you for all your service.
You're
Really
welcome.
great working with you.
Okay, items of special interest. Blair, come in. Oh, there you are, okay. Go ahead, come up here, and we'll turn the time over to you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, Council. My name is Blair Stringham. I'm with the Utah Division of Wildlife Resources, and I'm here this afternoon to present our payment in lieu of taxes for the property that we hold in the county. Just a few things about this payment. Much of our funding comes from licensed dollars from hunters and anglers, and so this payment comes specifically from that pool of money. We use these properties to manage largely for hunting and fishing activities, but as well as recreation and other forms of activities outside. These properties are also managed specifically for wildlife. So much of the properties in this county are managed for big game, but we also have some areas where we manage for upland game, waterfowl, and other species like that. So here in the county, we have about 25,000 acres, the biggest one being Hardware Ranch, just east of Hiram. We also have Cinnamon Creek, which we've talked about extensively over the last couple of years, and we appreciate the county's support in closing those roads. I know that was outside of kind of the norm for when roads are open, but we feel like that'll benefit wildlife greatly here in the county. The other notable property we have here is our shooting range just out to the west, and it gets used by hundreds of people each month, and just a lot of good things happening in Cache Valley. So we appreciate the support from the council, and I've included my contact information, so please reach out if you have any issues or concerns with wildlife here in the county.
It says on here, talking about the PILT payments. Were you going to discuss that at all?
Yep. So I'm here today to present the check. The check is $9,160.27.
Okay, so get right to the money.
The most important information. So I've got the check here as well to present to the county.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Got a set of precedents. Everyone else that comes to the microphone, we expect money, right? So,
I've got mine.
thank you very
Mr.
much.
Chair, would you like me to leave this?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll take that. Do we need a signature for you to go back?
Nope.
No, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go with Rod Hammer. Get the committee report for fire.
Thank you. I don't have a check, sorry.
Okay, next.
So I just wanted to update you a little bit on where we're at on the fire district. I'm glad the mayors are here. It seemed to be a good, very good time to meet together. So as you know, the fire district was created by Ordinance 65-03 in 1965. The county population at the time was less than 40,000 people. The fire district consists of all areas of the county except for Logan City. And the purpose was to promote cooperation between departments, to provide training to volunteer firefighters, and to support the fire departments through equipment purchases, to assist with construction and modification of stations, and contract for service to provide service throughout the county. As we've gone through and looked at the establishment of the district, it was done properly and legally in 1965 based on the laws at the time. However, some of the follow-up stuff wasn't completed, and we're trying to finish that right now. Specifically the bylaws for the fire district. And we have been working on those bylaws. We've kept them minimal so that as everything gets implemented, they can be filled out and fleshed out. But one of the most important things, I think, is that the current board for the fire board is 2 council members and the county executive. And the bylaws we're proposing would include 4 mayors, 2 from the north, 2 from the south, 2 county council members, and the county executive as the makeup of the board. One of our biggest concerns with the future of the fire service is growth and cultural shift. Right now our population's over 142,000. We are having problems with daytime staffing out of the volunteer departments, and we're having problems hiring part-time firefighters to cover the shifts in the part-time world. Right now, funding is the other issue. The district has not been a taxing entity to this point, and we should not be using general fund dollars to fund the fire district, as the general fund also includes money generated through property tax through Logan City, which is not part of the fire district. A couple other things that we're looking at is the inequality of the costs. For example, Nibley City contracts with Hiram, but when there's a fire in Nibley, we have firefighters and cities provide fire service from Wellsville, Logan, Hiram, Paradise, and the county. When Lewiston provides service to Cornish, Trenton, Clarkson, Smithfield, Newton, and the county would respond to a fire in that area. So the individual cities are and while mutual aid is great, some of the cities are supporting other areas of the county, and it's not a consistent pay throughout. An individual city is not motivated to provide service outside their city. They pay their tax dollars to provide that service within their city. And so there's not really a motivation to increase or improve service throughout the area from an individual entity. We are looking at a funding mechanism that could be generated across the county consistently, that might be able to use to provide fire protection throughout. Now, the first question that's going to come up is this a tax increase? And the answer to that is depends. We've got a financial analysis RFP out right now that closes today to have somebody analyze all of the funds put into the fire service in the county, whether it's from the county or from the individual cities, to find out just what we're spending right now for fire service. That'll be compared against a study on where we should be, and then what might happen after that. There's not any definitive, this is the way we're going to go. It's just a study to find out what possibilities are. The big thing that we're looking at least from my level and what I see throughout the county, is just how are we going to fund the fire service in the future. The growth that we've had and the call volumes that are increasing and the decline in some of the support mechanisms is leading to these conversations. And it's important we have these conversations right now and not wait until something bad happens to somebody. We still need to make sure we protect. We have met with the mayors a couple of times, and I've spoken with several of them. And again, I think, I don't know that I have a ton of new information, other than we have this study that's about to start, and we can start looking at what the real costs are and true costs, and then these folks can help us kind of figure out a way forward cost-wise. One thought is that a district tax, because the district would be a taxing entity, could be offset by a decrease at the city level for the same dollar value for the service they're already providing. So there's a lot of offsets, pluses and minuses, and we will know more of that as this study commences. It should be done in the first quarter of next year, and that's kind of where we're at.
Thank you.
Any questions? Yeah.
Is there any other county in the state that's like ours, that's we're looking, or that has the same situation we have as far as fire coverage or district?
There are other counties with variations. Summit has 2 districts. Weber, of course, has a fire district. Wasatch County has done some work with this, and we've talked to many of them and looked at how things are set up that way. When we are looking at this financial evaluation, we're going to be looking specifically for organizations that have done this exact type of research. So,
Any pros or cons subjects so far that you found as you've talked with them?
what do you mean?
Pros or cons that how the district is working as far as meeting its obligations financially wise?
We're not that far yet.
Okay.
So, anything else?
It hasn't been an easy process.
Retire till the district is set and going.
People keep saying that.
Yep. I make a motion.
It hasn't been an easy process. I can tell you, we've had a lot to look into. I know our attorneys have been digging into information like crazy. It has been actually quite grueling in everything we've been digging into. So we're hoping that we get enlightened with this study.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest point we can do is get that finished, and then we can start having conversations on what it means, which direction to go.
And then I think our goal of that committee is to broaden the base of that committee to get more of a board
right
voting on the information that's necessary.
Yeah, we don't want it to be just at the county level.
Right.
We definitely want to include the input of the mayors, and I think the makeup of the board will take care of that.
Appreciate it very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Rod.
Let's jump down to 8A real quick, and let's go ahead and set that public here. Well, actually, first, I will entertain a motion to hold a special meeting for the Cache County Council on December 17th. I know you don't want to. Believe me, I don't either.
Is it okay to say boo here?
But I need that motion before we can entertain the next one.
I'll make a motion then to hold a special Cache County Council meeting on December 17th.
At 5 p.m., I guess.
5 p.m., okay.
And I'm humbly asking for a second.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded that we have a special county council meeting on December 17th of 2024 at 5 o'clock. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, reluctantly.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, nay. Well, it's 4 to 1. We have to have that. Now, I will entertain a motion to set that public hearing for that date for the only item that's going to probably be on that agenda.
I'll make a motion that we set the public hearing for resolution 2024-30, opening the 2024 budget for December 17th.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we set the public hearing for December 17th for resolution 2024-30, opening of the 2024 budget for December. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes. Thank you very much. at this point, let's go ahead and let's go with I think we'll have a little bit of time, but we've talked about your time that you'll be able to share your input there. So if Mr. Hidalgo, go ahead and we'll go back to you so that unless you guys want to sit through all of our other stuff, you're sure welcome to. Okay, okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Erickson. I don't have a check. I only have 9 pages, so we're good there too. I appreciate you.
Talked about 10 minutes, you said.
I got 10 minutes and I'll take 20. Counter? I appreciate giving us an opportunity to come and address the council. I'm here on behalf of all the mayors of the valley and the COG. We're aware of the county council's concerns and the struggles they're having with budget, and we would like to give you some information to consider as you're going through this process, and I hope you consider it seriously. And we sent a letter back in October expressing our concerns about this. We received no input, or I received nothing from anybody. And therefore, in our last meeting, we decided it was time to see if we could get on the agenda to discuss it with the council present, the county council. I put together a 9-page presentation. It won't take 10 minutes. I'd like to go through it rather quickly, but do you want me to jump or go ahead and go to the next one? You know, it's our understanding that the county council has built into their budget a new 0.30% sales tax increase using a local option for transportation. That's what we are understanding at this time. The tax was allowed by the state legislator. It's also my understanding that prior to last year, this option could only be used for transportation. And I'm also aware that in the last session of our legislature, they've made some changes to that. We also understand the county council has full authority on how this is to be implemented. But while it's included in the budget, it is not formally enacted until the county council passes a resolution and describes how the funds should be used. And I believe that's what you were just passing this for, is to have all the hearing on this on the 17th. Next page. We do have some concerns as the mayors. As it stands now, you've built all or most of the transportation sales tax funds into their budget as public safety. We question that and why that took place, because it was designed for transportation. We as mayors are concerned that the council is diverting transportation funds to free monies to fill shortfalls in other areas of the county budget. We understand why you'd want to do that. Unfortunately, it does not appear that the primary budgetary shortfalls are directly related to the public safety, which indicates that the funds are being converted only nominally to the public safety in contravention of the intentions of the state legislator. As a COG, we support the local option because we are keenly aware of the transportation needs of the valley. We work with it, we allocate funds for it, and we go through the process of having presentations to help us understand what needs to happen in the valley. Can you go to the next one? The next one is just some projects. It's an eye chart. I don't know did you give a copy to each of the council members? Sure. It's just an eye chart. It's really back up to. It's just projects that we have looked at, and I hope all of you get a copy of this and take the time to go through them and see what we address in the county. These projects address various needs throughout the entire county. And, you know, one of the things I highlight in our next slide, in one of my slides, is the fact that Cache County is unique. We are only county in the state that most of our roads don't intersect with UDOT roads. They're all individual. This is what our COG is dealing with, what other COGs within the state do not have to deal with. They have tremendous resources from the UDOT that helps them through their process. We don't. So to lose any funding at all is hurts our ability to fund projects that are needed. In this last situation that we had with the COG, we had, go to the next chart if you would. I shared this, next one. I shared this in the county council meeting where we presented our findings. We had over $17 million in requests. We could only fund $8.8 million. What you need to understand about this, and you can go to the next slide, is these don't go away. They just get pushed down the road. This chart gives you an idea of how we're not fulfilling our needs as a cog. These are the shortfalls that we're seeing throughout the last 10 years. The trend isn't going up, it's going down. It's going to continue that way if we don't get more funding. And unfortunately, this sales tax is the only way we can get that funding. The only way. Next chart. The average shortfall between 2015 and 2020 was 2.3 million. And between 2021 and 2024 was 3.3 million. Like I said, the projects don't go away. They come back the next year, usually with increased scope and costs. As a result of the inadequate funding, projects are often split into phases. This is not reasonable. It's not cost effective. It increases the cost of the project substantially. It makes it extremely complicated next year when we don't have any more funding to try to get that into approved as well. Next one. So in summary, it's not a question of if the county can do this. We understand that you can. If you should or how. We just want to make sure it's done correctly, and we want to be a part of the process. Cache County, like I said, is the only city where vehicles travel more miles. I want to emphasize that on our county roads than they do on UDOT roads. COG has done numerous things to mitigate this traffic and congestion problems throughout the years. You've seen it. All of us have experienced what COG has done with very limited resources. Enacting this tax for anything other than transportation, we remove the best, most flexible tool given by the state legislator to solve our county's current process. In our last COG process, we had one project come up with $7.4 million, all of our entire budget practically. They were willing to hold off on that and only take a partial funding and turn it into phases. It's on 2nd East. Everybody drives that 2nd East and knows how bad it is. Next year, it's going to be just as difficult to fund the balance to that because we'll have more projects coming in line. We also understand that, cities that, especially those that contract with the county sheriff, are willing to engage with the county. We're willing to meet with the county and discuss ways to handle the budget shortfalls you're experiencing. I think it'd be wise, and I'd recommend to the council that you be willing to listen to your constituents, especially the mayors who represents all your constituents, as you try to go through this process and not just make the decision on your own. Next, please. Okay. So what we're trying to do here is trying to get the county to recognize that we, as all mayors, and all the mayors unanimous in this and support this, want to be involved in the decision process and make sure that the allocations are made where they need to be made. We're not trying to minimize the situation you're in as far as trying to figure out a budget. We are all deal with the same thing as mayors as well. We are keenly aware of the situation you're in, and we experience it ourselves. I myself had to do a major tax increase this year for next year. It's not fun. Nobody enjoys it. Nobody likes it. And everybody opposes it. But they all like what they get in return. They just don't quantify it as that as well. So with that, I'm well under my 9 minutes if you have questions. Okay.
The information, I think you mentioned that you represent all the mayors, right?
Yep, I represent all the mayors here.
I have had a couple mayors that have reached out to me and said that they are not in favor of this. They said that we're doing a good job.
Not in favor of?
That we're doing a good job and they didn't want to be included against us, so supposedly.
Okay.
So that's what I had a couple reach out and talk to me specifically about that.
Well, y'all understand politics.
But I appreciate the ones that have. Yeah, I appreciate the ones that have reached out to me. I really do. We had a great conversation.
Yes, we did.
Really did. So,
and we are willing to work with the county in any way we can. We talked about having another individual from the county on the COG. They can't be a voting member due to state law, but they are more than welcome to be a person that comes and attends and gets information as well as our executive. So we welcome that as well.
Any other questions, thoughts?
I too have talked to some mayors, so thank you for your presentation. It is certainly something to consider, and I hear your points.
Thank you. And thank you for the letter that we received.
Yes.
Everyone should
Did
have
read
seen
it.
that.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you very much on that presentation. Let's go ahead and let's go down to, it'll be 8B, which is ordinance 2024-23 CBB rezone. Who is going to be speaking on that one? Connor? Okay, appreciate you.
Council. So this is CVB rezone. It's a request to rezone 1.4 acres from the A10 zone to the industrial zone. Planning Commission held a public hearing on November 7th and gave a recommendation of approval as follows. The location of the subject property be rezoned as compatible with the purpose of the industrial zone. To provide locations where manufacturing, processing, warehousing, and fabrication of goods and material can be carried out with minimum conflict or deleterious effect upon the surrounding properties. The purpose of the zone is also to promote economic well-being of the citizens to broaden the tax base. This zone must be appropriately served by suitable public roads, have access to the necessary water and utilities, and have adequate provision of public services. The subject property is consistent with the Cache County General Plan, is just located in the industrial and mineral extraction area. And the subject property is consistent with the Hyde Park City General Plan, as it's located within the industrial commercial zone. Commercial was identified as the purpose of the commercial areas to provide appropriate locations where a combination of sales tax producing businesses, commercial entertainment services, and related activities may be established, maintained, and protected. Not intended for significant residential use or warehouses. And industrial was categorized as, this category includes areas that allow for a compatible mixture of light industrial and heavy commercial uses, including warehouses, which do not require intensive land coverage and do not generate large volumes of traffic with obnoxious sounds, glare, dust, or odors. The other thing of note is Hyde Park would rather they annex in.
Any discussion, questions? Personally, I thought the Planning Commission did really well in vetting this one, so.
I would agree.
This is a public hearing.
Okay, yeah. Any other questions that you'd have, Connor? Nope. If not, we'll go ahead and let's open up the public hearing. All those that would like to speak on this ordinance 2024-23 CVB rezone. As you come up, if you would, please say your name.
Move to close the public hearing.
Move to close the public hearing. All in favor, seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Let's go ahead and on the Marshall Mon Trust A10 to RU5 rezone ordinance 2024-24. Connor, you're right back up here.
All right, so the Marshall Mon A10 to RU5 rezone. It's a request to rezone 14 acres from the agricultural zone to the rural 5 zone. Planning Commission held a public hearing on November 7th and gave a recommendation of approval. The reason for this was the location of the subject property be rezoned as compatible with the purpose of the RU5 zone to allow for residential development in a moderately dense pattern that can allow for rural subdivisions and to allow for clustering plans larger than a single parcel. This type of development should be located and designed to not unreasonably impede adjacent agricultural uses, nor to unreasonably conflict with the development standards of adjacent municipalities, to implement the policies of the Cache County-wide comprehensive plan, the general plan, including those regarding improved roadways, density-based residential standards, clustering, moderate income housing, and municipality standards. The zone must be appropriately served by suitable public roads, have access to the necessary water and utilities, and have adequate provision of public services. This plan is also consistent with the Mendon City General Plan, as it's potentially located in the A1 or A2 zone. A1 is agricultural 2.5 acres. Agricultural A1 lot size is 2.5 acres up to 5 acres with more of the farm animals and production opportunities. Secondary water irrigation is available. A2, agricultural from 5 acres up to 10 acres. Agricultural A2 lot size is 5 acres up to 10 acres with more farm animals and production opportunities. secondary water irrigation is available. And then the reason, the nearest parcel in the county in the RU5 zone is located 1,000 feet to the southeast of the subject property.
I'm showing on the parcel there are there 3 homes adjacent to that parcel then already?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll open up the public hearing. Anyone that would like to speak? Marshall Trust, A10 to RU5 rezone. Anyone would like to come up and speak on that?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Move and second to close the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Let's go ahead then, at that point, let's go to ordinance 2024-22. And this is in a special county council meeting that we had at 4:30 today. This was discussed. We'll have to probably, let's take a look at that, see how it's written. There's a couple things that we've agreed there, but this is where we officially do the amended version and then vote on those. So I'll accept any motions or to amend this.
Do we need to go over, for those that weren't here, what we talked about? Verify all of that?
In our previous meeting, that by legislative action, or by the legislature, we are to hold a special meeting just to hear basically all the county officials' salaries separate from any other meeting. We held that at 4:30 today, and we had discussion in there, but we could not act upon that until this ordinance that was brought to us right now. In that discussion, we had talked about raising our county treasurer from 106,535.30 to match the county assessor's salary of 123,000 and 27.84 cents. And then we also talked about raising the county recorder from 106,513.04 to match the clerk and the auditor of 112,157 and 54 cents. We also had talked about a second portion as to the county of the elected officials would not be receiving any end of the year Christmas gift this year. And it's already in the budget, I believe, for 2025 that we don't receive that either. But yet all other county officers would. That's kind of the recap, I believe. Did I miss anything?
Nope,
Okay.
that's what we.
But we will need official motions on all of those things to actually pass this ordinance. It is pending action, so we would have to waive the rules, or should we suspend the rules, or carry it over to the next meeting?
Chair, I will move that we suspend the rules and adjust the county treasurer's salary from 106,535.3 up to be parity with the assessor of 123,027. Is that correct?
That is.
That is my motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second, we amend this is salary adjustment for 2025 fixed, or for the elected officials of the treasurer, 106,535.30 to 123,027.84. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. That's to amend that one. Other amendments?
I'll move that we, for the county recorder, bring that salary up from 106,513.04 to be in, so that they have the same as the county clerk and the county auditor, raising it to 112,157.54.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we raise the county recorder for 2025 from 106,513.04 to match the clerk and the auditor of 112,157 and 54 cents. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. I'll entertain a motion or on the Christmas gift, which has to be dealt with separate.
I will make a motion that we do not give a gift bonus or whatever to any of the elected officials that we hold pat. And we did leave open that if things were better next year, that we could visit that if so brought up. That is my motion.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded that the elected officials for 2025 would not receive any of the participate in the Christmas gift. All in favor, or excuse me, is there a second you say?
Yeah, Barbara.
Barbara seconded, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, they're all part of that. Now we can, with those amendments, I will entertain a motion then to suspend the rules and pass all of ordinance 2024-22 as amended.
I will make a motion then that we, with the amendments having been approved already, that we suspend the rules and pass ordinance 2024-2022. I'm trying to add twos in there. An ordinance amending the annual salaries of Cache County officers.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we suspend the rules and pass ordinance 2024-22, an ordinance amending the annual salaries of Cache County officers as amended. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, let's go to resolution. Would you guys like to come back to that one or keep going? We'll talk more about that. Resolution 2024-23, adopting the 2025 annual budget.
Well, at some point, we're going to have to adopt it. The question is, do we have everything in place now that we are comfortable with?
Yeah, we'll have Wes come up here. He's gonna describe just a couple things, and I believe we should have. Wes, go ahead.
So I have sent Andrew a budget document and provided that to him. I also just wanted to just briefly recap a couple things from the budget. I am going to be brief because we have had quite a bit of discussion about the budget. Can you switch to the screen's frozen? Brittany, do you have just the couple items that they need to review as far as amendments? Just the two trees tax. So the budget document that we have provided you up to this point includes everything other than what action you just essentially addressed when it comes to the elected officials. So that will be added into the budget, as well as changes to the tax allocation because it impacts the tax administration fund or Fund 150. I can just touch upon it. I don't have to. If you want to hand those out, that's fine. This is just the updated copy. When it comes to the amendments, the second set of amendments. And I'll just talk through kind of the PowerPoint just briefly. I just want to remind council with this year's budget, all funds budget, between 21 different funds, you have $121,572 in your budget. And that includes the two items we just addressed or discussed. Municipal Services Capital Projects Fund. So we've added four additional funds this year. Municipal Services Capital Projects Fund, the Airport Capital Projects Fund, the Open Space Fund, and the ARPA Fund, or Fund 485 for ARPA. You have property tax revenues to consider at a 12% increase, which was the latest information that we instruction I received from you, Council. It would raise the general fund property tax $2,028,837, or 12%. In the health fund, it would raise $119,000, or $119,343, or 12%, for a total property tax increase of $2,148,179. The sales tax revenue increase that you've been discussing, if implemented at 0.030, would approximately generate $6.6 million in revenue over a 9-month period. And that's it for presentation. Do you have any questions specific to the budget?
Questions?
Question I think we should need to point out, we've spent a lot of time going over this budget, a lot of time. And we've cut expenses to the tune of 1.7 million, I think. We reduced.
Plus, yeah.
Reduced costs and expenses. We still find ourselves in a position of having to raise additional revenue in order just to cover the services provided by the county. We cut expenses that we felt non-essential at the present time, and it was difficult. It's difficult on the departments. It's hard for them to provide the services at lower levels given inflation and costs of providing everything. And holding to a 12% property tax increase only gives us $2.3 million approximately in revenues. That's why the sales tax issue is so critical, because that's $6.6 million of needed revenues. And if I'm calculating anywhere near estimation, if we did not impose that sales tax, we would have to raise property taxes by over 30% in order to compensate for that. And that's a very difficult thing to have to impose on our citizens. And we're keenly aware of the hardship that places on people. We just went through some hardship applications for people who are having a hard time paying their property taxes, and as a consequence, as difficult as it is to have to impose sales tax to help fund public safety so that we can use the money for other essential services, I don't think we have much of a choice this coming year in 2025, given the situation. And, you know, I understand clearly the need for roads, road maintenance, and that's all got to be funded somehow as well. But to have to raise taxes, property taxes 30% in order to cover a pared down budget, as much as we could cut it down, is I just don't see an alternative.
Any other questions, Wes? Comments?
Thank you.
I would like to thank Wes and Brittany. They have worked very, very hard on all of this and put in extra hours, and appreciate it very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I would say too that I've acknowledged as part of this budget process that transportation is something that we need to look to. You know, the question is, how do we go about funding that? Who's the, you know, proper party to fund it? And I think that'd be healthy discussions to have with the different cities.
Thank you.
So I just thought of a question, maybe Wes, don't run away yet, but just to confirm with, because of the subject that was presented earlier from the COG, this document here, which matches what we had in our packet, is, if adopted today, what we would be funding to the COG, correct?
Yeah, so that's about, I think, the sales tax estimate we came up with. Would be the current estimate to the
That full
COG.
value would be funded to the COG and only the COG.
Correct.
None of the other revenue generated that we're talking about from the sales tax increase would not go to this.
Correct.
Standard level, right?
So by applying it to public safety, maybe I'll just, on the sales tax, if you apply it to public safety, you're freeing up property tax dollars to be used elsewhere.
Right.
Can you use those for transportation? Absolutely. You know, I think that's something that we need to look to in future years as we look at, you know, the fire district is something that we need to consider funding for, and how, you know, how do we fund that? Public safety, you know, the sheriff provides a lot of different services throughout many of the communities here in the valley. Some have their own police force, many don't. So, you know, it's just, I think it's a discussion that you kind of probably need to address, not just transportation, but discuss some of those other areas too.
Okay. Thanks for that extra attention on that one.
Any other question, Mark, or did I answer it?
Dave, is there anything I missed in that? I mean, we really spent hours and hours on this budget trying to pare down costs and bring things down so that we didn't have to increase taxes at all. And really, I'm at a loss as to what else we could do.
Well, we'll talk about that. Why don't we hold on adopting that for right now? Do you mind if we go ahead and move on to, I guess it would be 10A, right?
So before you adopt the budget, you need to adopt the resolutions from last week
That's what we're going to.
that we prepared, and then the second item, adopt the elected officials.
That's why we're going to go to these others right now before we adopt our budget, because they do include, in order for us to have that budget to be adopted, it does include these other increases that we're going to talk about here now. So let's first go to adopting the property tax increase. And if you look at that in your packet, I believe, let's see. there was
It's 10, yeah, that's right.
2 million, I believe right there on section 1. I think those numbers are not correct, are they?
They differ than the amendment detail that he just went over.
Right.
It's on the property tax.
Yeah.
Yes, it is on the property tax. This actually looks at that's at the 15%.
Correct.
And so we need to, on this one that was written up here, we need to adjust that back because we were talking more like 12%. This
Yes.
was agreed upon even with our other council members that we talked about last week.
So the amounts that I provided to Andrew and I just sent to you as well, Dave, at 12%, it should be $2,028,836 in the general fund.
Yep.
Okay.
And $119,343 in the health fund.
Yep.
For a total amount of $2,148,179.
Okay, and so we, in order, as we look at this increase, would you please state that on the property tax increase of 12%, I would need an amendment to change this resolution?
I'd make a motion that we amend resolution 2024-27, section C, to state property tax increase by 12% rather than 20%.
With the total amounts of stated,
$2,148,179 is what I wrote down, and that's what Wes's phone tells me here.
yeah, with the total. That's
For
the
the
totals
total.
of both the general fund and the health fund.
Okay,
Yes. Is there a second on that?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we amend this written resolution that we currently have to read at 12%, and that the total amount would be $2,148,179 for both the compiling both the general fund and the health fund. Is there any discussion on that? Who seconded that, by the way? Okay, thank you. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? It is unanimous. Okay. That one, should we have suspended the rules on that one as it was initial?
That was just the motion to amend
Amend
this.
it.
Now we got
That
to.
we- Okay. But it's under initial proposal, so we'll need to suspend the rules if we're going to pass that tonight. Okay, with that in mind, I would either entertain a motion on 10A.
I would suspend the rules and make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-27, adopting a property tax increase for 2025.
As amended.
Is there a second? As amended,
As
right?
amended.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we suspend the rules and approve Resolution 2024-27, adopting a property tax increase for 2025. All those in favor say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? It is unanimous. Okay, let's now go to Resolution 2024-28, which states imposing a county option sales tax for public safety and roads. Is there any discussion on that?
So the mayors and COG have given good reason to consider this. I do have a question to our executive. I read in the paper today that as a member of the COG, you agreed with that going to the transportation, or how do you stand on that?
That was an error in that reporting. I did not, I actually was not at that meeting. I don't even know if there was a vote. But I'll tell you how I stand if you're curious. I know that you're in need of additional revenue to make the budget balance this year. And
Could you, is your microphone? Move yours over there, Carl's, because they'll cut you as it's flashing.
Looks like your battery's gone.
I know you need additional revenue to make your budget balance this year, and there's not enough, there's not sufficient with the property tax amount that you considered, even if you did the full 20%. So I see that you need to do that. However, I do think the legislature was wise in providing this option for counties to be able to generate these funds for transportation needs. There is a significant need, as you saw in the presentation earlier. There's a significant need for many, many transportation projects around our valley, and those needs are only going to increase. As I said, I know that there's not an option really tonight for you to do this, but what I think the council might consider is phasing the use of these funds out over some period of time. I mean, if you adopt this sales tax, this optional sales tax, and use it for purposes other than transportation, perhaps there could be a phase out of those funds and phase them into solely being used for transportation, and doing that over some years. And I recognize that it's a difficult task that you have before you now to fix a property tax deficit that built up over many, many years. You're talking about a 12% increase to property taxes, and that's actually 12% of 50%, because the rate has dropped for 12 years straight. 12 years straight of dropping the rate has resulted in your property tax rate being about half of what it was 12 years ago. So what you're talking about increasing by 12% is half of what it was 12 years ago, half the rate. Also half the revenue, if you look at the general fund. 12 years ago, the general fund received half of its revenue from property tax. Now it's only about a quarter of the revenue that comes from property tax. So making an adjustment now, and Councilmember Ward mentioned that if that were to all be carried by the property tax, that would be over 30%. But again, that's 30% of 50%. So so it's a difficult thing to make up for all of that in 1 year. And that's why I think if the council would consider perhaps over a few years making those adjustments, and maybe that'll be easier next year as well. As we talked about earlier, the fire district is in the process of being separated from the county and will have its own revenue. That will make things a little bit easier. Perhaps the economy continues to grow. I think it's totally doable for the council to be able to wean itself off of these funds and allocate them solely to the use for which the legislature originally intended them. The COG has been discussing this optional sales tax for some time because of the significant need. And it's been discussed for some time, and the COG has been thinking about when would be the best time to propose this optional sales tax to the council to implement, and how the COG might make a case for all of the transportation needs. And so as we've discussed that, we've been convinced that there is definitely a need to use those funds for that. And so of course the COG was disappointed to hear that that those funds were going to be generated but not allocated solely to transportation as was anticipated and hoped. But I don't think it has to stay that way forever. I think we can adjust and gradually move into that, whether that's all next year or over 3 years or 5 years. I think that would be a good goal for us to have so that we can ensure that we are allocating adequate resources to the various transportation needs we have in the county.
Okay, so we're talking next year on the sales tax, it's 3/4, we're getting 6 million. So I want the option to discuss how we help COG and the transportation, but Mr. Executive, you've presented us with a budget, so as you look next year with your budget, is there any chance of the county pulling back on the budget to help where we need to help in transportation? Because as a council, we're sitting here wrestling, how do we pay for that budget and meet that? So can we come together with cutting costs in the county so that we can help on the transportation for COG?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that we should and could work together on over the next year. And like I mentioned, that would be a heavy lift to do in 1 year and probably even in 2. What we're talking about is not just the combination of 12 years straight of tax cuts, but also the worst inflation we've seen in any of our lifetimes. So when you combine those two things, that's a lot to accommodate for in 1 year, in 2 years, maybe even in 3 or 5. And I commend the council for not raising taxes in the last couple of years, even though costs have increased. As we looked at our budgets over the last couple of years, I know the council looked at the increasing costs and the increasing need, but chose to, rather than implement a tax increase, to use savings to make it through. And I know that council members said that they were doing that because you knew that cities, school districts, other taxing entities were increasing their tax rates, as well as everything from eggs to electricity increasing in cost. So you made that choice knowing what our citizens were facing, and I think we did that for as long as we could, and maybe we could do it another year, but it's just not sustainable. It's not sustainable to live off of your savings forever. You just can't do that. We can't do that. We've been able to do that because we've been frugal in the past, because we've had different sources of revenue, but it's just not sustainable to cut the tax rate 12 years in a row, have the worst inflation we've ever seen, increasing costs, a very rapidly growing county, increased demands for services, and to have that all balanced. But can we figure out a way to phase this out over a number of years? Absolutely, I think we can, and I look forward to working with the council on doing that.
Well, I think that's been our intention all along through this whole budget year, is that we do need to do it in phases and move money to where it needs to be and do it prudently. It's all of these things that you've said we're keenly aware of and working hard to accomplish. And so thanks for
Mr. Chair, can I ask
Yes.
Wes another question?
Oh, yeah, you bet.
It's too bad you don't get paid overtime for this, huh, Wes? So.
That's all right.
So we look at the property tax, or not the property tax, but the sales tax. So if I'm sitting here, and I'm a numbers guy, if I'm at 6.6 on the 9 months, in 2026, I should be looking at approximately another quarter
So-
coming into that, right?
So when I looked at it, I thought it would come in probably close to 9, based on a touch of growth.
So what I want to sit here and look at is I don't know what we do in 2025, but I want to look at something going to COG as 2026 or something that's helping that so that we're evident that we're trying to get something to COG and for transportation. How we do that, I agree, we need to sit down and talk and see where we're at, but that's why I'm saying from the budget standpoint, is there any room to cut so that we can do some transportation for next year for COG, or where do we sit on that? Any other council members voice, or what's your opinions there?
Now, is there room to cut? I think there's room to cut. Is there willingness to cut? That's two different things. And that's what we've been hashing out and going through and, and kind of, some things we're able to make the easy decisions and others we're not wanting to make the hard decisions. So I still think there are some opportunities to cut. But I know darn well, and I feel also that, and this is why I'm glad we put end roads on this, is because it does, for public safety, that's another option that the legislature's added to us. But it does say we can use it for roads, we can use it for those things, and that's what I'm hoping to flip-flop in the future as much as possible, and get on a better scheme as to, I guess one of the biggest things that we're really into some of this predicament is we are getting our own affairs in order. We've had some dramatic changes that we've had to make the past few years, and we're steering the ship. I think we've got it right. We're headed the right direction. It has not been easy, and it has been costly, and we've lost some ground, and we are making up some of that ground.
And I got you, Wes. You had mentioned that if we put some of this to public safety, we would have something that would come out of our budget that might go towards transportation. Do you have any idea where we'd be sitting there?
So what I'm saying by that, by directing it towards public safety, we're currently expending well in excess of $9 million on public safety, countywide. As you can see in the budget, it's over 50% of our budget goes towards public safety in the county. So I think part of the hard discussions that you may have to have as a county too is, are we charging the appropriate cost out to cities to provide that service if they're contracting with us? I think it's just a good opportunity to talk about the fire district too. Some cities are providing more for fire. In my mind, what I want to see is it be equitable to the cities, and so some of that is going to require hard discussions and hard decisions on the part of the cities as well. Should certain local roads be funded with local property tax in some of these areas? I think COG does do a great service. So I think, again, these are just discussions that I think we can get and work together and kind of, determine how we should use those funds.
Mayors, I've heard you. I'm fighting. I will try to help get anything I can for transportation on this. So I'm open to discovery and how we go forward in the future on that. So I will commit to help on that.
We would love
Mark,
to have an
Mark,
explicit
you had a comment, Mark?
Yeah, I was just going to comment that, from at least my perspective on the budget process and the good, active things that we've done as the council, and, what was the number Carl mentioned, 1.75 million in things we cut that were in the suggested budget. In doing that, we are taking what the department heads and the people over those different funds suggest and making a reduction. And, kudos to those proposing those budgets to keeping it so that across the entire county, it's hard for us to find that 1.7 million to cut. We're not wasting money as a county, and that, I think, is an important detail in this whole conversation. And the difficulty in balancing the priorities, for me, what we're up against that is not clear because all the budget is an estimate, it's a plan, it's a statement of what we want, but the revenues are all projected. I think there's some significant unknown variables that we'll stumble over in the fire district development, as that comes together. And so, I guess what I'm saying is there's only so much we can do and only so many things we should have churning at the same time. And so, down the road, balance all these things out. then a clear picture of, you know, the fire district, once that's up and going in a year or two, we'll know better how to account for those estimates. But I think, you know, and, you know, this is the proposal for the budget, but we can make amendments in 6 months from now if there are things that are glaringly clear we should shift, so.
Basically, to share how frugal we are, I believe we're number 29 out of 29 counties in taxes per person.
Tax per person.
The lowest.
We're like the lowest in the whole state, but I don't mean to brag about that or anything, but I think that we have been extremely frugal. But we are in the process of getting some things put together. So with that, any other questions from the council?
Can I make just one quick comment?
You bet.
We are conservative as a county when it comes to property tax. I think it represents people well to be conservative with their dollars. As I looked across not just the county, but I started to dive into property tax rates within the cities and compared them to, you know, 5 above and 5 below. We are, even within our cities, conservative as well in what we're charging for those services. So we can't have both city and county be conservative when it comes to the property tax dollars that we generate to provide those services. They cost money, they're real. And so I think, again, it's going to take working together. You know, could the county do it all just by raising property tax rate? Potentially, would that be fair to and be equal to the citizens across the county? Maybe not. So I think that just has to be discussion that we have.
And I know we'll put some things together to where we start having some sooner than later conversations. Our process and policy of putting a lot of policies we're looking at putting together here the first of the year, changing some of the policies on how we put the budget together, what we do there, how it's spent, as well as getting correlation and communication. I know with COG and with everybody, get that sooner and get that going so that we can get some needs on both sides matched up better. So, okay, what other, any other items there? Anyone like to, with all that information, I'll entertain a motion. It is under initial, but it's up to you.
On this resolution, Chair, do we need, on the title, do we need to add and roads
Yep,
on there?
I would make that amendment as such.
Okay, I would make an amendment on the ordinance that it reads a resolution of the Cache County Council authorization of the imposition of a 0.3% county option sales and use tax for public safety and roads under Utah Code 59122216.
Now, just a quick point to clarify. If we set it for public safety and roads, and that's the intent of the council, we also need to provide to the tax commission which portion of the amounts we intend to put towards roads and put towards sales tax.
Okay.
So just understand if you're...
Look at it with the attorneys, and we can
Okay.
we can take care of that.
As long as you understand.
Yep.
Can we know that? We're just curious as to what the allocation is.
We don't know that yet. We're working.
Will there be notice at some point?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We'll get that worked out. So, unless you'd like us to take roads out, I don't think you would. And that's what we wanted in there too. So we have that parameter changed. But I know we looked up the statute, and that statute allows us to use it for all those different things. And so that's what we want to make sure that we are covered in that, in our ordinance. There's a second, who seconded that?
I second.
It's been moved and seconded that we add the words after for public safety and roads to that resolution. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. I'd entertain a motion to go ahead and suspend the rules and pass this, or not, or wait till next week. That's up to you.
Well, I would like a better clarification on how much is going where myself.
If we outline those details, does that require a public hearing with those amounts, or have we satisfied the public notice requirements?
Based on my reading, you've satisfied the public notice requirements. The statute doesn't say when you have to release that information of the exact breakdown, but it does say you must release that information.
So then
The timeline of that is not specified under here.
So we wouldn't be up against a noticing barrier in order to add this to the agenda for next week.
That's my understanding.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yes.
Just one thing. Since you guys set the hearing specifically for the consideration of 2024 budget amendments, you'd also have to go ahead and clarify that that meeting is also being held specifically for this purpose if you decide to move it. Just so that way we would be holding the
Well, we first established that we would just have a special Cache County council meeting.
Yes, but statute says that you have to declare exactly what business is
Okay.
going to be assessed. So
Okay.
I just want to point that out.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Andrew. Okay,
So we'll move that till the next meeting?
well, we'd have, if we do, though, we need to
Right.
do what Andrew says there, so, or we deal with it right now. It's up to you guys. What do you want to do?
I will suspend the rules and make a motion to approve resolution 24-28 imposing a county option sales tax for public safety and roads.
I'll second that, Nolan.
Moved and seconded that we suspend the rules and pass resolution 2024-28 imposing a county option sales tax for public safety and roads. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Okay. Let's see, let's go, do you want to go back at all, back to resolution 2024-23? Since we got those two parts done?
The only thing we'd have to do there is add in the amendments we did today for the officers, or the treasurer and the recorder, is that it?
Yes.
Then I think we're pretty much there, aren't we?
I think so.
I think we are.
Yeah.
Then can I ask why we're meeting next week?
2024.
Fix this today.
2024 budget.
It's opening the 2024 budget.
Okay, so.
Well, I will make a motion then, that we have waived the rules, suspend the rules. get the
Actually,
right terminology.
I don't think we have to on 9B.
Don't we?
It's pending, so we're good. We've had that on there.
To approve resolution 2024-23 adopting the 2025 annual budget as amended.
I will second that.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve resolution 2024-23 adopting the 2025 annual budget as amended. Any discussion?
Me and Carl are ready.
Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Okay. Merry Christmas. That's been a hard one.
That's
That
been a
is-
long, long one.
It has been a tough one this year, and I think our process is getting pure and more pure, and the collaboration and everything, I think it is really getting good. So, okay, let's go to resolution 2024-29, approving payment and of premium pay according to county attorney's policy.
Council, as you may recall, in previous years, for our special victims prosecutors, the county attorney's office has budgeted to provide a extra stipend for these particular prosecutors to incentivize prosecutors to deal with what is truly some of the most terrible things that people can view and be associated with. Our special victims prosecutors handle around 100 cases each per year of these extremely heinous and time-draining and soul-draining cases, child abuse, sex abuse, violence. And so it's been the county attorney's policy to rotate our prosecutors through this group of our special victims unit. And as you see right here, it's enumerated in the resolution that we have had some turnover. Currently, our special victims unit is composed of Josh Nemeth, Joshua Coe, Ronnie Keller was our unit chief from January to December, and Griffin Hazard from January to July was a special victims unit prosecutor. So we have had some rotation. If you may recall from last year, Ronnie Keller's our unit chief, but Andrew Crane was a special victims prosecutor. And going forward, as you may know, Dane Murray has returned to the county and he's working in the special victims unit. So we have had turnover, and that's something we strive for so that people don't have to be exposed to that material for too long. And so we've budgeted for this, we anticipate it, and so, but for transparency purposes, the council needs to approve it to make sure that any pay received above the salary is kosher. So for that reason, we ask that you pass this resolution to, for this premium pay.
Any questions?
This is budgeted in already, right?
Correct.
So is there a max or a min, or how does that, you know how that goes?
This is finite number, I thought. That was-
Yes, so it is a finite number. It's $5,000 for the entire year and $7,000 for the unit chief, and it's prorated. So as you can see in the resolution, there are some special victims prosecutors that were only prosecuting for part of the year, so we prorated it to reflect that.
I remember very vivid when this came up a few years ago. Well, I guess, yeah, it hasn't been a few years ago. It's actually been a couple here, I believe. And we talked about it, and one of my main responsibilities and liaison for the attorney's office was, and talking about what they have to do. I'm glad you rotate them for their sanity. I will say sanity because it's hate to say it, but I'm always one of those that says no matter how fast you run through the corral, you're going to get stink on you. And so it is good to get to a different corral once in a while. And I just feel for them, what they have to put, what they have to see, what they have to do to document what goes to court. And I am very much in favor of this myself. So it's not SVU, Special Victims Unit, just called that for fun. It's serious stuff, and I think they deserve that extra pay for that. So
I would agree. I'm sorry that they have to see that, but.
And, Mr. Chair, since we implemented this policy, we've had decreased turnover, and that policy of rotating our prosecutors through it and the additional pay has really made an impact in our office of seeing fewer people leave the office repeatedly. That decreases our training costs, it decreases our turnover, as I said, in the office, which makes our operations easier. So this policy has had a positive effect in our office.
And I'm worried that we are seeing a little bit increase of crime that's been transient crime, that's coming from that's being prosecuted here, but it's coming from other parts in the state or wherever it may be. And this stuff here, it's just downright ugly. So it's up to you, Barbara.
Yeah, I will move that. Do I need to waive the rules or suspend the rules on this?
Yes.
Yes, initially,
We
yes.
will suspend the rules on Resolution 2024-29, approving payment of premium pay according to county attorney's policy.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded that we waive the rules and pass Resolution 2024-29 on the approving payment of premium paid according to county attorney's policy. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you, and we will work with HR to make those disbursements to those employees.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, okay, we got the schedule. This is a
Yeah, holidays.
holiday schedule.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I bypassed that one, looking at everything else. I just hope, yeah, there it is, okay.
I object, there's not enough holidays on it.
I don't see Nolan's birthday
I object.
in there. We have to do this, and I guess this is for 2025. You're kind of taken back a little when you start seeing how fast the time's going. We're jumping around from year to year. Does it look okay? Looks okay, and it says subject to change. I'd accept a motion.
I'll suspend the rules, if that's what I need to do, and that we approve notice of the annual Cache County Council meeting and county offices holiday schedule for 2025.
Second.
Move second, we suspend the rules for the notice of annual. I don't think we have to suspend the rules. But either way, we just did. But the notice of annual Cache County Council meeting and county office holiday schedule for 2025. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Or you're not that worried about it, are you? Anyway.
I don't see a holiday on here for retired council.
It's all a holiday then. Well, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. How about ordinance, ordinance 2024-23?
Yeah.
We did those, right? We jumped right into those, so.
Okay, good deal.
Excuse me. A lot on my mind right now.
I don't think we have action. We had the public hearings. We don't have.
That's what I was, yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, we did.
Yep.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, cool.
So, okay, let's jump down then, I guess, to other business.
Taylor's not here. Is he coming back?
Yeah, he is.
You shifted and I didn't.
Sneaky bugger. We've talked, other business, we had a meeting, let's go to, while he's busy there. We had a meeting earlier on the Public Works proposed road closure. We had that workshop earlier and went through it, and that process, we're gonna get it right. And so I guess it's in the process now of having the right period of time, and we're working through all that. Was there anything else we needed on that?
Yes, sir. Just a couple of items. So, my wife told me not to say so often, so I did it again. Number of concerns were identified that need to be addressed before the Bragg interlocal agreement is finalized.
Oh, okay, I'm thinking, we're on Public Works
Okay.
proposed road closures, anything there?
Apart from what we discussed earlier, no.
Okay, thank you. Now, sorry about that. We'll
Right.
go back.
So the agreement does not specify the grounds and procedures for removing an executive director. And so we are working with the Box Elder County Attorney's Office to add that to the agreement because we know that was a concern in the past. And another point, the agreement does not set a limitation on the annual assessments that counties must contribute to Bragg. So the county council needs to consider what are the limitations that the county wants to set, if any, on the annual amount the county contributes to Bragg. What provisions does the county want to add to the agreement if the county disagrees with an amount that Bragg assesses in any given year? So what that means is we need to fine tune that process. So if the county wants to add more or subtract or dispute the amount that Bragg assesses, that needs to be fine-tuned. So we're open to suggestions, and we're happy to work with you after this meeting in the coming days to try and get that done by the by January and get that agreement
When you say
executed
by
in January.
We're not gonna have another meeting after the 17th.
Correct. But
Okay.
no additional meetings have to be done to get
Evening.
this agreement finalized. So,
Okay, so we're gonna work on that, get the research.
Yes.
It looks to me like there's some research gotta be done, pull that together.
right, so there's a couple of suggestions that we have that we would want to run by you
Okay.
before we do that, but that doesn't have to be done in a public meeting.
Okay.
And
By
then,
us in a workshop or something, or just
or just individually in a, or-
executive session type stuff on the first of the year, or?
not necessarily, just working with you
Okay.
outside of a meeting. And then finally, the agreement does not specify who the budget officer is. Would the county council prefer to have that position be a staff member or a member of the board, or a member of BRAG? So that's something to consider as well. And
Is it currently?
it's not specified.
So who's
So-
doing
Can
it?
be one or can be voiced by,
That's the beauty of agreements, is we can structure it however we want to. So if you want to have additional people be budget officers, plural, then that's something that we can structure in as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been on that BRAG board now for 8 years, and been chair of the finance committee for BRAG. And so we have a say in their budget and in what the money they're spending is, salaries are, et cetera. And so we do have, that has been dealt with over all these years. But I think it would be a good idea maybe to have a specific assignment provided, although it may not be really necessary.
Yes, so I think the county attorney's office recommendation would be to move towards appointing a budget officer, although it may in the past have worked as the county continues to grow and as that assignment continues to be more onerous, making sure that there's accountability, an assignment, and a person who knows that they are responsible for that particular position, that would, in our opinion, be more efficient and more effective.
I agree with you, Tom.
Finally, does the council want to indicate a minimum number of the times that the board should meet each year, or do you just want to let the board decide? These are some of the questions that we will run by you, and that's pretty much the report. The agreement is nearly complete, just a few more of those fine-tuning questions, and then we'll present that to you in January.
I appreciate that.
Sounds good.
That's good. I appreciate you. I think that's some refinement that's been needed. I think we just think everything's all good, it's just good.
Right.
But I appreciate you looking into those things and
Thank
let us
you.
know. Others?
Thank you, Taylor.
Yes. Okay, now on C, the other business, we needed,
We only had, we have to take action on 10E and 10F. We just had public hearings.
we did not waive the rules and pass those?
Yes, we did.
Just the public hearings.
Okay, I thought we did, but we
I thought we
didn't.
did too.
Okay, well, let's go through it. Let's go back to, thanks, that's why you're here.
take tomorrow off.
Yeah, no, don't. Take the rest of the day off after we're done. Okay?
I'm sure we acted on
We
those.
had public hearings.
Yeah, but I made the motion to
I
approve
don't
it.
think we,
There was no
did we?
action
I don't think we passed.
I know we were looking into so many other things, and so we've got everyone, okay. Well, we're gonna do it anyway, so. Well, then now we know we haven't done it.
Okay, well.
Well,
No, appreciate your patience.
And just,
We've had a lot going on, believe me, but go ahead.
well, just to make sure, what we did today was hold a public hearing for the Marshall Mall, but that actually has been held previously. Right, because.
No, we're approving what the planning and zoning passed.
Right, which means we had the public hearing a different time. Because this is not listed as a public hearing, this is, the only item that was on the original agenda was to.
Yeah, and we moved those.
Moved it, though.
Yeah.
We amended the agenda.
And put those as public.
Yeah.
And we had them set as public hearing last time. Or a couple meetings ago, to set for this date. And it just, it did not get put right under the public hearing section. We moved them back up to there. So we've had the public hearing.
The move we did before was to move.
Yeah, now we are,
Not to remove these lines from here.
now let's go to ordinance 2024-23 CVB rezone and visit that one. What questions do you have? Connor has left the building, but I think that I'll entertain a motion.
Well, since I thought I already made a motion, I'll make it now.
You're going to have to suspend the rules because this is initial.
I'll suspend the rules and move that we approve ordinance 2024-23, the CVB rezone.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we suspend the rules and approve and uphold, I guess it'd be also uphold the decision of Planning Commission and approve ordinance 2024-23 CVB rezone. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Let's visit ordinance 2024-24, Marshall Mon Trust A10 to RU5.
I will suspend the rules and make a motion that we pass ordinance 2024-24, Marshall Mon Trust A10 to RU5 rezone.
Second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we suspend the rules and pass ordinance 2024-24, Marshall Mon Trust A10 to RU2 rezone. And I believe this is the second time.
Yeah.
RU5, yeah, RU5 rezone. Any discussion? I believe, I've read through this and I went through and this is what came to us a while ago.
But
it was for RU2.
Right.
And so now they've scaled back to RU5, which is more conducive with what's in the area. And I really appreciate Planning Commission's diligence on what they've done there. With any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous, motion passes. Okay, thanks.
You got out of here before 7 o'clock.
Thank you very much, though, letting us know. I appreciate those. We really get going in a lot of other things, so. Let's go down to on the assignments on 11C, the assignments, committees, and department liaisons. They're on here. I believe you gave those to us, didn't you?
I would suggest we wait on that.
We're gonna wait.
Council is here.
Yeah, we're gonna wait, and we'll leave it on there, but I just want you to make sure that.
I can't find it.
You'll send those to us, Andrew?
See, there was nothing ever given to me. I was just told to put it on there for discussion.
Okay.
Okay. And leave it on there, because I know we'll be, that'll be on the first meeting, the first meeting basically in January.
Yes, I was going to say probably would be best for the
Yeah.
council to decide.
But meanwhile, look at those, and why don't we, if you could, Andrew, go ahead and send those current assignments of those things out, that we can even make sure that we've got them. I know we have copies of them, but they're probably, we've had a whole years of other papers come our way.
Yeah.
And would appreciate that you do that. And look at those, evaluate where you think your skills might not be or what you want to learn, also within different departments or different committees, and we'll go from there. So, also that first week is when you'll elect a new chair and vice chair. So think of those two. County Christmas party, hey, Amy, you got a big night tonight and tomorrow night. You better start decorating here. No, you're fine. It looks good. It's, everyone already responded on that?
Yeah, and I can't go.
I won't be able to either, so, but I hope it's a good one. And thanks for your efforts on that.
It's the first time I've missed, I think.
The swearing-in ceremony of 2025 for all candidates. It is tentatively right now set January 2nd. You're going at 10 a.m.
There is an airport board meeting that morning in this room. I guess we could look at a different spot, but.
We can do a different time as well. But it's at 8:30 though, and they typically don't go very long.
Yeah, it could be done. There just wouldn't be time to maybe set up beforehand. Also, the term doesn't actually start till Monday. I don't know if you guys realize that, but the 6th at noon is when the term starts.
It is the first Monday of, basically the official is the first Monday of the year.
Yeah, first
Good
Monday.
point.
workshop, so. Input on anything else, and how do we change that?
Just change it. I didn't
Just
put the
change it.
plans out to the winners, so.
We kind of like to get them going as fast as possible.
Our first council meeting is what, the 14th?
Not till the 14th.
Yeah.
I know if you're gone, I know I'm gone. I don't get back. I'll be returning home on that Monday, so.
Doodle poll.
Tuesday?
We do Tuesday.
On the 7th?
Yeah.
Tuesday the 7th, afternoon?
We can maybe do like a 5 or earlier, whatever.
5 would be good for me.
Okay.
Of course, we have Board of Equalization, Dave.
I spoke with Matt Funk and he said he would prefer an evening.
That is.
But we should be done by 4:30, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Okay, so
So 5 o'clock?
Yeah. We'll have everything ready. I personally won't be there, but we'll be ready. So that'll give me a few more days to be drunken with power.
What kind of New Year's you gonna have? Okay.
You're taking this.
Let's shoot for that,
way too
Bryson, and then we'll go from there. Might have to have a different one, tell you when you get back. Okay.
All right.
Appreciate that. I believe we're gonna probably give the UAC Day on the Hill. Who can go to that one?
I will.
I'm planning on it.
Okay, registration just opened up for that today.
Okay.
And so,
Okay, so are we taking care of that on our own, or?
Or is
no, Andrew, if you'll take
Okay.
care of the registration on that, that'll be great. He just needs to know who. Mark, Nolan,
Put me down.
Okay.
Barbara, yes? I will be yes.
No, I won't be.
He says no. Keegan,
Rude.
Well, wait a minute, if we
you
swear
say
him
no
in,
on
we-
the 5th, February 5th?
Let's see.
Well, he's got to be praying about it, actually. Good for him. Will you let Andrew know as soon as you find out?
I was putting the swearing in my calendar. That should probably be at that one.
Okay, it is all day, let him know. Okay, and then you'll have to reach out to Catherine and Sandy there on that one. Okay, let's go with council member reports. Mark?
As those of you that are on the board know, I missed the fair board meeting this morning due to car trouble. So I don't have anything to report there, and there hasn't been any other official duties I've been involved in since, so. Nothing more from me.
I have nothing to report, but I hope this is okay, but I'd like to give a standing applause to Carl Ward.
Yeah.
I would like to too.
Yeah.
I didn't see you stand.
No,
Okay.
I didn't want to applaud myself either.
We'll hear in a second, and hopefully you'll get one of the last words in, okay?
A big thank you to you, Carl. You've been a
Yes.
good mentor to me, so thank you.
Barbara?
The only thing I have to report is that, did I already report this, our call that we had with Mr. Bramwell?
Yes.
Okay, never mind. Done.
That's it?
Yep.
Okay. I'll go ahead and on mine. As far as today on the fairgrounds, a lot of the meetings are starting to really sound alike as you go from one meeting to another. We are growing. We're growing kind of at alarming rates. We don't have enough money to do everything, and everything is costing a lot more. Even though we passed the budget that we did tonight, hang on. I think we've got a lot more work to do. I'm really hoping that the patrons of Cache County, all the patrons, the elected officials and everybody involved, all understand that I honestly feel we are really digging into things and doing our best to, in their interests and everybody's interests. It is not easy. It's far from easy. Everyone wants everything and no one wants anything kind of deal. You know, no one's really happy no matter what, and we're doing the best that we can. But I do appreciate this year in that budget process. I appreciate, I've seen a lot of honesty and the forthwith on the numbers and the details. I don't know if you noticed even on the one presentation, or what we were just presented here. I loved how we talked about each of those amendments. I don't know if you noticed the little caption, what was done on every one of those amendments. Brittany? There you are. Anyway, to have that on there, to me, you look at that and exactly what was happening. It made it so easy to follow this year. And I totally commend all of your department in helping out and everything they've done. You guys have really stepped up. I know it has put, we've been digging on the 2025. This 2024 stuff has been a catch-up that we've had to jump into now. We've got to get that done by the end of the year, which is causing us to have another meeting. I don't blame you guys for that, though. We understand, and we still appreciate everything that you guys are doing. And then Carl, I also appreciate you so much. We've had a lot of meetings together, and I've learned so much from you, and consider you a lifelong friend, and appreciate you very much.
Well, thank you.
You get the last word.
Well, let's see, things to report. We passed the 2025 budget. I'll report that. And you know, what I would like to do is give a round of applause to my wife.
Yes.
Yes.
Because, you know what? None of us could do what we do without the support of our spouses.
This is true.
The time we have to spend and things like that is incredible, and they're supportive, and I've never heard her complain once. So. So thank you, dear.
Hey, check back in a year and see if you complain, because he's home more, though.
Yeah.
That might be.
You're always welcome to send him back, too.
Yeah.
That's all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carl.
If that's it, I'll be happy to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second it.
Second, we adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?